Mark in the count. The swing arm now coming back as our countdown continues.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday and welcome to the Brick Something News. I'm Brick Something, and to my, never get that right, my left on screen. Yeah, that makes sense. It's Bill from the DorkLair. What's going on, man?
What's up, Brick?
I'm good. Let's follow you into the DorkLair. Sorry, I can't help it. I love that song. I love the channel, and I'm super happy that you're here, man. Are we ready to geek out and talk nerdy stuff today?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm like I'm on the tail end. I'm on the other side of like a crazy busy week last week because we had the Figura Obscura drop and there was like many things just all hit my plate at once. The Figura Obscura was the main thing, and that usually is like a 2-week process, but it was like a 1 week this time. And then I had that Axie Toys dinosaur hit that I had also promised to do, and I just did not expect those two things to happen on the same week. Cosmic hit, like all of this stuff, just like my t-shirts, everything was just like flowing in all like literally on the same day. And then like it was all about getting into like Saturday morning and that drop, and then the show that I went to Saturday, and then like now I'm exhausted, but like I feel that relaxation of after like all this hard work, and you have this like big production, and then it's like, you're on the other side of it. So
100%
chill and geek out for sure.
Awesome. Let's do that. And the funny thing is, because I know, and then it just means work tomorrow. But yes. Great job though on that stuff. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. I want to hear about how that went for you, the Figura Obscura drop, because that I know that's always a thing for you in particular, the last couple of them, which is great. Let's go ahead and run through the logistics. I can't help it, man. It's the teacher in me. And then we'll say hi to the folks in the room today. So let's see. What do I want to tell people? First off, as we go through this, I'm a visual person, so I love for people to kind of be able to go back and look at this stuff, whether they're like see the images themselves or whatever. So down there is a URL, bit.ly/brick something news, capital B, capital S, capital news. And that'll take you to basically a Google Doc with a bunch of links directly to everything that Bill and I look at today. And actually, you can kind of see everything that I've ever done. So it's actually been fun for me, because I can do like, if I ever forget, like, did I cover that? Or what was that thing again? I just go into the doc and, Command F and look for my stuff. So there's the QR code over there by Bill. So that's a super nerdy, dorky thing that I do. And let's go ahead and say hi to the silly, dorky, nerdy people that come and check it out. What's up, J-Mac? Good to see you. What, Rad Dad? I see Rad Dad. I like to think I'm a Rad Dad on multiple levels. What's up, Dorlax? And good to see you. Josh Brown, hello. Happy Sunday. Yes. I fully sympathize with that comment. A bit of an oxymoron for those that work Monday through Friday. I also hope that everyone got one. I want to say that they're still up. Was that right? Did I see that right?
Yeah, they should be.
Yeah, like that second drop.
I don't think they're going to last through the end of tonight, because they put out an email that said they're selling out quick. So yeah, I would definitely, if you are looking to get it, I would just buy it now, because they might sell out very soon.
Yeah. And let's see. Yeah, folks got it. Collecting Brothers, good to see you. Assuming it's John, but if not, hello to both of you. Star, hello. Thanos, hello. And always thank you for helping with the links. He'll be dropping those links during the live in the chat for those of you that want to follow along. I don't have a bell to ring when you're supposed to turn the page, but I'm sure you can figure it out. Blake, what's going on, aka Recon Rage? Happy Sunday to you. Look at that. Talking about that sexy ice already, Star. I hear you. We'll get into it. Allison Troy, hello. I know what you're referring to with the beautiful summer children, but man, can I just tell you how much I'm looking forward to summer? How about you, Bill?
Oh yeah, always.
Man, I love it. I need a break. This has been a challenging year. Nolan, hello. Thank you. Great to see you as always. Jeff Morris, hello, hello, hello. And Josh Brown is ready for summer and everything else. We've got questions already. We'll come back to these. I'll start that for an actual question later. Rick Jones, yeah. I am kind of curious. I'll go through this. How much do you feel like your work in the classroom translates to what you do here? How much did just in general talking and sharing info your deal on DorkLair?
It feels different to me because it's such a different audience, you know.
True.
Like, I mean, I guess maybe some of that overlap could have been during the pandemic. Like maybe like I honestly think maybe the pandemic prepared me a little bit more for live streaming because I wasn't doing live streaming. When did we start? 2 years ago, maybe live streaming. But that's the closest parallel for me would be like when we were remote teaching and then live streaming like that. That's how it feels. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like, overlap, like if anything, preparing slideshows.
Exactly. No, exactly.
You can relate like that. Yeah. That is definitely something that transfers over. And just like breaking down information, I think is something that you got to do well in both things.
Absolutely. So like every time you break down, like, here's the all in and this is how the math works. And these are the parts. I totally feel like I'm sitting there. I was like, yep, he's got his pedagogy down. He's breaking it down. And then the slides for sure. Right before we started, I as an aside, I was like, hey man, love the Legion's Lounge last week because they did this draft thing and Bill totally set up this Canva thing. And I was like, oh, that was total teacher move. Anyway. Scott Baker, good to see you. Back to the class, if you will. Highly articulated. Oh, yeah. They didn't bring it up. I wasn't sure that was intentional or not, but we'll cover it today, Adam. Joe Gonzalez. Hello, friend who's not too far. Who else? Oh, we've got a wholesome warlock in the house. Hello, happy Sunday to you. We've got this guy. What's up, Trevor? Good to see you.
Is live right now, or maybe he had just ended. He was live like 10 minutes ago. They were
the Hot Toys.
He had the Hot Toys show going. Yeah.
Hyperdelic, thanks for stopping in. Alpha Magnus, what's going on? I hope you got my info about the question you had. We'll get to that in a little bit. What's going on, Lawrence? And I should highlight that now that I see you and Alpha Magnus and Hyperdelic. I'll do that in a second. Let's see. No, we use DocCam sometimes.
I actually, so I don't use an overhead anymore, but I actually have one in my room. And one of my students the other day, something came up where like lying came up, like fibbing and lying. And I said, I have a lie detector. And I go, it's over there. Because they don't even really know they didn't know what it was, but it was an overhead projector, and I pulled it off the shelf and I brought it down and I said, what it does is it projects your hand on the wall, and then you read the hand, and then you figure out if they're lying. And so I projected a hand, but they bought it for a couple minutes, but not really much longer. But they're old enough to know stupid old man jokes. But,
sure. Yeah, I've got one up in a closet too in the classroom. KJ Smith, hello to you. Listen to Lawrence because he's a punk and he pities the fool. Jeff White, hello. When is the Not Illa 10? Man, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about reviews and Brick Something. Red XO Mac 5, what's up, Red 5? Good to see you. Timmy T, hello. You missed us just being nerds. That's what you missed. So stay tuned because there's about an hour more of that. And no. And if we do, I feel like it would be a revolt in the classroom or laughter something.
Yeah, it's funny because I still have one ended
What
in
do you
my
do with all
room.
this
Like
old stuff in your room,
the
man?
journey.
Oh wait,
the
never
journey.
mind. I remember. Didn't you say it had something to do with VHS?
Yeah, well, the journey of this particular cart found
Uh-huh.
its resting home in my room, and it's been
That's
there
right.
for 10 years or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Um, but there are a couple. I haven't played VHS in a while, but there are a couple tapes. Like if I had my science fiction elective still, there are a couple
Oh.
things that I probably would put up on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have for sometimes we have like an after school thing, like
Uh-huh.
parent teacher thing, and it might be from 2:30 to like 5:30 that I don't want to go home and come back, and I'm sitting in the room and I'm just doing grading papers or whatever. At that point, I will plug it in and I will put my old Star Trek tapes on and
Yep.
play those because I just love seeing those with the old commercials and stuff. So it gets use still once in a while. But yeah, I still have the cart in my room.
That's hilarious. I remember that as I said it. I remember you telling me that story somewhere else. It might have been in a members thing on your thing, or sort of like waiting
Yeah.
for that back to school night or something. Anyways, all right, let's go ahead and start getting into it. But because I totally respect your collection, because I feel like when I watch your channel, I get like a nice breadth of collecting, right? You definitely like lean in heavily into say, like Four Horsemen stuff, but like you seem to collect a whole bunch of stuff. And I want to say the
Yeah.
other day with Nikki, you said you sort of like pick and choose, and that's why I love it, man. I love watching it because I'm kind of the same way. I kind of like to know what's out there and check different things out. What would you say are like the I think folks are pretty aware that you collect a lot of Horseman stuff, but what are your other oh, did we lose you? Oh, what would
I'm
be the say second biggest, I guess, most focused line on your collection, and the third after those?
So number two would probably be Star Wars, which is
Mm,
split between Hot Toys and Vintage Collection.
okay.
So I have Hot Toys and I have Vintage Collection, and I cut out 6-inch Star Wars because that used to be my focus.
Hmm.
But the others started to appeal to me more, and it kind of like it's like this high end premium thing, and then the old school toy. Like I have
Yep.
the so Star Wars collecting is up there. Mezco is up there, not as much as it used to be. I feel like Legions and Hot Toys have kind of like been pushing Mezco out,
Mezco.
and Legions has been taken over. But yeah, a lot of Mezco.
Can I ask on
I
the Mezco tip, which of their sort of sublines were your?
a lot of Batman, a lot
Okay.
of the in-house Gomez stuff, and then random things here and there. But I'd say the most Mezco I have is Batman Mezcos, Batman and Rumble Society stuff.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah, and then I've been getting heavy into Glyos lately, but it's still not like a focus of mine or anything. Trying to think of what else. Yeah, I mean, in terms of like when I think of the main things, like if I were to cut everything out
Hmm.
except for two things, it would be Legions, or it would be Four Horsemen stuff. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
which
consider
is
it all one.
yep.
And then it would be, and then Star Wars. That's my next other one.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that's awesome. And again, I appreciate watching your stuff because it is a variety of things. So I was trying also to link it to people asking about when is the XXX review coming out. So here's my deal. Like I started doing like unbox things. I call them unbox something and we kind of review. And then I'm like, man, I see other people, including yourself, including Toy Bro, including D Amazing. I'd say those are sort of my top three of like, I just kind of look between your three channels. Like, this is the stuff that I like. And I'm like, what am I going to say that's any different, really? So I am kind of sitting on a hard drive of a bunch of stuff. So to answer your question, it's funny. I probably will be filming that figure.
Which
But
figure is this?
so this was it's the Hero Toys. I don't know if you do Warcraft, but it's the Demon Killer, that purple winged thing. If you've seen that,
Okay.
if not, yeah, you can't really see it here. I literally haven't opened it. Showed up in my classroom on Friday, but I usually will film everything. Like I'll unbox it and film it, and then it sits on a hard drive, And then maybe like in the summer when I have a little more time, I'll start to edit things and put them out. So, but I don't know. How do you get your stuff done, man? Like, how much time would you say it takes to open a figure, review it, edit it, be done with it?
It depends. So the Figura Obscura is a totally different beast. That's typically, I mean, just the video files alone on that are probably 4 hours of video, which is crazy. But a typical video, like let's say the Red Jet, the Tusk pilot from Cosmic Legions that I think that's my most recent one aside from the Dino. I did the Axie Dino, like one of those two. I would say like, opening it up, depending on my situation. If it's like okay, I'm gonna open it on a Saturday and then record on a Sunday. I'll have a little more time on a Saturday morning or something to like open it, play with it, mess around with it, and then that might be anywhere from, if it's something that's like really hot off the press and I want to get it up fast, it might be less than a half hour of like opening it and getting it on the table and starting to shoot it.
Okay.
But
starting to shoot it.
Yeah, starting to shoot it. But if it's if it's something that I have a little more time with, it might be a couple hours of playing with it, messing with it, and then so then I usually, well, actually, the first thing I do is I record the box spinning around before I even open it. So sometimes I'll get like a wave in, like I got the Cosmic wave in, and those 4 figures, I did the boxes all in one shot. I just did, it's like 3 minutes or something, like just
while they're closed
a couple times. Yep. And then, so then I have to figure out, I've played around with it. I've maybe done some pop and swaps. I've done all the, all the articulation. And then like while I'm doing that is when I get it, like while I'm playing with it is when I get it into the pose. That is my opening spin around shot. And it's usually the same, just for the sake of time, it's usually the same pose that I take my photo in. So the next session or whatever, I'm taking the photo and I'm doing the spin around, and while it's on the turntable in the pose. And then sometimes I roll right into the review from there. Sometimes it's my pause, but that chunk of time is maybe maybe 20 minutes or so, something like that.
Is that just running and you're talking over it while you like live?
Yeah, it's just spinning and I'm talking over it. Yeah. And it's really just a quick intro, but a lot of it has to do with just positioning, pull it forward, reposition it, set the camera, but that's all that's kind of like technical. That's all like the flashy stuff, the spin arounds, the box, the art, like that. Then the next thing I do is my longer session of like, okay, now I'm just holding the figure in my hands and I'm talking through it. I do takes. So like, I'll screw up saying something, even though it's not scripted. I'll talk through, an aspect of it, and then I'll misspeak or I'll say something and I'll start it over. But anyway, so that big chunk for, your typical figure that I'm fairly familiar with, like a Cosmic or a Mythic Legion, that's probably like an hour of recording. And then I bring, that hour and a half of total footage over to my computer. And then that's it's at least as long as the video, because I watched through the whole video, right, of editing. So it's maybe about the same, a little more. And then that's another hour. So you're looking at like, if I'm going to sit down from start to finish and just do it all in one sitting, it's probably like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Plus the upload time.
Right.
During which I'm usually writing up the description or, copying, pasting parts of the description and writing up the new parts and then getting the file named and like all that stuff. And then, so yeah, I mean, it's 3 hours ish. Yeah,
that's good to hear, and it's really neat to sort of hear your process, and I'm sure now it's a little bit more like the fact that you can sit here and enumerate or list it out. It's kind of just a routine now, huh? That's beautiful.
Yeah. Until you get like a wildly new or different figure, a
Right.
2-pack Figura Obscura or like
Right.
something crazy.
Yeah. That's
Or
awesome.
crazy size. It'll throw everything off when something's like way bigger.
Yeah, but it's fun at the end of the day. That's how I look at it. It's like, even though this stuff takes time, I'm like, no, this is me like creating intentional time for me to play with my toys and look at my toys and
Exactly.
document it. Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of, I asked you if you had any like one or two things that you picked up recently. I'm always kind of curious what's got your
Oh yeah.
attention.
Yeah, so yesterday I was at the Shop the Curiosity
Oh, that's right.
toy show in Connecticut. And it's a great show. It's small.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got a nice high percentage of like just awesome tables of like people with vintage. It's a lot. This year it was a lot of vintage toys. It's just, I don't buy a lot of vintage toys, but like walking around, browsing, and just looking at, pegs and racks and stacks of just like old G.I. Joe, He-Man, Star Wars, like just all these old figures is fun. So at that event, I did pick up another set of the Figura Obscura because Four Horsemen was there.
I
I got a couple figures. So I got a Fury Orc at their table,
Nice.
one of the reissue figures from the mystery boxes, and a Kador. I already have Fury Orc. I got a couple of those, so that's just an extra Fury Orc.
Awesome.
But
Yeah.
this is Kador. This is a hole in my collection, so that's actually a pretty good one to fill that hole.
I'm not even familiar with that character.
Yeah, I want to say
That's a Noble Bear, huh? I saw the logo on the side.
Yeah, I forget which wave it is. I want to say it might be Covenant of Shadows or something, or maybe even Wave 1. It might be Kickstarter. Yeah, it's got the Kickstarter figures on the back. And then I made a trade with Jacob Forna, and I pulled in from him another extra
Awesome.
Black Knight.
You have plans for it already?
I always have uses for Black Knights. They're universally awesome.
The parts.
It was so nice that they reissued. They did it as the Vampire Knight too.
Mm-hmm,
So like that, a lot of that is back in that same color. And then in that trade I got a Lord Vateris, which is one that I've been wanting because it's a tribute figure. I know Joe, and I've never had one, and I just like always regretted not getting it. So like it's really nice to have this to go with like my Sir Gerard. And then in that trade also was a Thalen Frostmourne.
Oh, beautiful. Love that figure. I don't have one, but it's beautiful. So you say the holes in your collection, are there a lot of? So you're not complete necessarily.
I got a lot. There's a lot of Legions I don't have. I only got in during what was it? Was it Covenant of Shadows? Yeah, I think it was Covenant of Shadows when I got into the line, and I was only picking and choosing up through. Geez, I think like maybe Advent was the last wave I was picking and choosing, or maybe like there was something a little bit after that, but like maybe around 2019 is probably when I started going all in on like pretty much most waves and like getting everything. So there's like, a solid 3 or 4 years of Legions that I was just hunting and pecking or not even collecting them at all. So there's a ton that I'm missing in the early waves.
Huh. Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. Sounds like the show was like a big Four Horsemen show, which was awesome. I was really happy to people sort of showing that, hey, we got our new Bastet figures. That I think that's awesome.
It was really cool that they had it at the show, and people got a chance to like get it in hand day one, and really like an incentive to go to the show. The show was busy. There was a lot of people there. I think that the drop helped a lot to, kind of like keep people showing up. I also, Dan Larson was at the show, and he was able, so he's sold out of these, but He
Oh,
was able
awesome!
to
You
sell
grabbed
me his
one.
Glyos figure. Yeah, so I got it. This is the SG01. He's doing another run of these, by the way, so you can get them. But like, I was like, he was like, you want to wait till the other one, or you want one now? And I was like, can I get one now? And yeah, so he had one. Yeah, it's sweet. It's got metallic silver and transparent red, and it's based on um the laser tag helmet that's like in the
Yep.
back of all his videos. It's that like color palette or whatever. And
Yep. Yep.
it works so well on this figure. It's awesome.
I love it. I love that he's making toys.
Yeah.
That's great. That is awesome. That sounds like a great weekend. It looks like, yeah, I was actually, we'll circle back to that in a second after I just go. Let me go through quickly what I grabbed. First was that thing that I showed you. I showed you the box already, but if for those who are not familiar, let's see, how do I do this again? We go here and this goes there. This is that figure. I don't know if it looks familiar to you. Yeah. So that's
I've
that
seen
figure.
the figure. I mean, the character's not familiar to me, but I've seen pictures of the figure. Yeah.
Cool. And then in addition to that, let's see. I have been building for the last 4 days or so a new ship from a wall. I don't know if you ever watched Andor, but this is the ship in Andor. It's
okay. That's got to be a custom, right? Is that a?
It
That's
is
not,
a custom.
They didn't. Yeah. Okay.
They didn't. They
That's
did
the
not
Fondor.
release this.
What is it called?
The Fondor Hallcraft.
Hallcraft. Yes.
Hallcraft.
Oh, I love that ship.
Yes, I love this ship too. It's got all the, the features one would expect, and including
nice, the lasers.
Yes, if you've seen it, you know what that's about.
That's the Iron Man. That's the Iron Man of. Remember the scene in Avengers 1 when he does the spin around with the laser beams? It's like the same move.
Yep.
Wings. Oh my god.
Do it. I love it. It's gonna go right here. It'll be flanked by the Slave One and the Razor Crest. So I kind of do the Lego thing. And actually, I'm going to try and edit I shot some video while doing it. And there's a lot to say about it because it's not real Lego. So it's interesting how that whole thing goes down. But I'll talk about that some other time. And I think the only other thing is because you were talking about Star Wars, I was joining in this May the Power of the Force sort of thing, and I just put up a video of this on Friday of me sort of reviewing and talking about my life with Cabe and Muftak. So these are Power of the Force figures from '98, but that's a project that's handled by Allison Troy, Retro Toy Princess, and Lauren Sapunk with Toys. If folks go to bit.ly/May the POTF, it'll take you to the playlist. Basically, every day in May, someone is reviewing a Power of the Force figure on YouTube. So that's just a dorky thing we've been doing. So
I wanted to also just shout out Josh. I forgot to text or message Josh, but he sent me a bunch of stuff. I don't have them all in front of me right now, but Josh Brown I'm talking about here.
Yep.
But he sent me a bunch of his 3D printed stuff.
That thing is rad.
Sort of
that's an eyeball
coming
out of the Bible.
It's like a brain with like spike on top and like tubes coming out, teeth and stuff. The other one is a hat right here. Like what would you call that? Like a pilgrim hat, sort of, right? Like
sure.
Pirate hat.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Kind of thing.
I love it. Stump the history teacher. Oh.
There was some other stuff too. Tricorner. It's like a tricorner, like a what do you call it? Like a Founders of America type era hat, right? I guess.
Josh says
Mother Brain. Okay, it's Mother Brain from Super Metroid.
Oh no, I don't know that. Sorry, that's Jeff White's sort
it can
of
be whatever you want.
Okay. Yeah, but it can be whatever you want. The hat, or the brain, I guess. That's cool. Yep. Those are great. And
other stuff stuff too. It's just not right in front of me, but thank you, Josh. I forgot to message you. Like I just started opening things today that came in all last week.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and talk about some other ephemera. And you kind of kicked it off, so I'll go ahead and again use the force and bring us here. You sort of started talking about the show, and you mentioned the scene. Dan and Dan Larson, and I know he was there because he posted all about it, and I was like, damn, that looks like an amazing show with all sorts of really cool vintage toys. And he posted pretty heavily. And the first thing that caught my eye, we'll just go through these. Well, wasn't this, and I know he collects those, but this. I was a big Micronauts kid, because I think we inherited it from a box from our uncles, and I had one of these.
Classic hand-me-down type situation, right?
Yep. I had one of these without the plungers anymore, the little gun things. But man, this thing was so cool. And yeah, I saw a lot of the first footage I saw of this show was through him, and I was just kind of amazed at all the vintage stuff.
He reminds me that I need to do a better job of like taking photos at the shows. It's like, at least at like shows like this.
Yep. And all sorts of stuff, Japanese stuff that like was there, and all these the Bendums. Of course.
I was hunting Alf. That's gonna be my 2024 event thing. If I go to toy shows like this, is to like find just random little cheapo Alf trinkets.
I love how much that's taken you, man. The Alf, the NECA Alf figure kind of feels like it sent you down this Alf.
Yeah, it sent me back to my love of Alf when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But anyways, can I just share something? Josh said he said, "Did I send you the head for the hat?" So there was two things. These two were wrapped differently because they have these little, the spikes and things. They were wrapped differently, and those were the two I pulled out of the box. So I just went over and looked in the box, and I found it, and it is indeed a pirate. So here's
perfect. Yeah, look at that.
So that's what we got.
What's it?
Yes,
what's this?
You did send me the head.
Okay. Oops. Yeah, he was like, "Did I not send you that?" So is he completely bald underneath? What's the situation under the hat?
Yep. He's got the
great patch, so the hat is made for him. That's beautiful.
It fits perfectly, so I'm assuming this is what it is. Yeah.
That's awesome, Josh. Great stuff. Yeah, we looked at his shop last week. All right, I feel like that's a good segue to some AWOC updates, if you will. Just a quick one, but the Backerkit finally did go live, Bill. It went live on Wednesday, and so definitely check those out. Definitely, we're getting all sorts of like questions and comments, and I know that it can be a bit daunting. As you know, this Kickstarter had a lot going on, and there are a lot of bundles and all that. So Adam did a great job of setting it up, but obviously there's all sorts of things that we're now catching. So I just want to say, please send your comments on the more recent posts. And then our goal is to update folks every Wednesday with an update. That's the goal. So look out this Wednesday, and we'll let you know kind of where we're at as well, in terms of how close we are to maybe unlocking a next figure, because people have been increasing what they originally pledged.
We can see that number in the Backerkit, no? Or you guys have to manually update that?
No, it's weird. So that's one of these funny things with the Backerkit, among many issues. But so Backerkit, unlike Kickstarter, doesn't unlock things based on dollar amounts. They unlock things by unit sales. So we had to set a sort of like somewhat arbitrary number of 1,000 Mambas to unlock. So that's what people can see.
Okay. That's what that number is. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not exactly what it is.
Exactly. It's not truly reflective, because in order to unlock Mamba and anything else, it's a total amount. So people can spend on other things, not the Mamba. So at least every Wednesday we'll be updating folks and saying, hey, this is where we're at with that, as well as like other things, do an FAQ.
That's cool.
So just want to let people know there's that. And, we're real live people. So we're not going to airwolf you. All right. Let's talk for Horsemen stuff again, because we already have. But man, it's just trickling and trickling. So a week ago, first there was this. There was the we let folks know that I'm in my best Four Horsemen voice. We let folks know that they came in, and here we go, sending them out. And this was all the all-ins, and I know a lot of folks who already got theirs, and now they're going to move on to the non-all-in orders. So
yeah, they're waiting for the next truckload or whatever, because it was the all-ins and the scourges, and then the next truckload hasn't arrived yet, so they're waiting on that. And this kind of allowed the window, I guess, for the Figura to hit.
Yep.
I want to show something here.
Go for it.
So
yeah, please.
when I did my review of the Red Jet, people were saying you got to do an Iron. Like I mentioned Iron Man at the beginning of the video because it's got that kind of like candy red, right?
Race car, totally.
Yeah, and so they said you got to do an Iron Man, and I didn't want to go gold because it already has silver in it. So I'm kind of going Silver Centurion mode here.
Yep.
But this is right now. This is just the Red Jet with the Valiant Knight arms, legs, skirt piece. I'm not totally convinced on the skirt. I don't know that there's going to be a good option for the belt thing. I might just remove the leather belt off it and just have it go there. And then I got to figure out a head. But
I was going to say.
Looks like a Silver Centurion to me. I'd also like
totally
to
does.
Maybe I wish there was another
blue one.
Color.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, a blue one of those would just kind of really be perfect. I don't think there's a blue one because the one with the blue, it's a different kind of chest piece. But
yeah, I was looking over here to see.
The hand conveys it totally. Yeah, I had to pose it up a little bit, but.
Yeah, no, I that's exactly what I saw when they first solicited this guy. But anyway, these are on the way, and not for those of you who have them, great. I did not go all in, so I've got 3 figures that I'm waiting on, and then hopefully be here soon. But that was just one thing. And then a couple days after that, they were like, "Oh yeah, by the way, that Necronominus stuff, it's coming out good. The dead are rising." As they say, and eventually they'll be making their way across the oceans. But I love these kind of things from the factory, just sort of like behind the scenes process. Look at that.
That's one of the things I love about the Fourish show. It's like they show this stuff, and Chris talks. And I was sitting with Chris for a while yesterday because Chris had a table, his D13 table, but like just talking toys and manufacturing process and stuff, and just like it's just so fun to pick his brain about all this stuff.
I'm not sure if it was his or your Instagram, but someone had a picture of you two kind of at his booth, kind of talking. Maybe
that
might have even.
Yeah, so it was Dan. Dan was right next to it, and he had taken a long shot of the hall, and the two of us were in the shot, and he tagged us.
God, look at that thing with that jaw falling off. These are going to be so great. And it's funny, now we're just truly getting a steady stream of Four Horsemen product throughout the year because, that's the way it goes. But
this wave is going to be sick.
Necronominus, absolutely.
Yeah.
But before that, I guess kind of in theme with the dead and the afterlife, they teased this. This was just the Friday
morning.
Yeah, yep. Friday morning, because they were going to release it on Saturday. So obviously we know that you were behind the scenes. How long ago did you get that box
just
delivered
to you? Ago.
Okay.
Just a week ago. So yeah,
you don't open
last
it
weekend.
Yep. And when in your video is your actual reaction to opening it. So when did you actually start doing that?
That was last weekend, maybe Saturday morning or something.
Oh, right when you got it.
It can't. Yeah. So the day. So typically, I like to try to open it up as quickly as possible, and then call Jeremy, and then like once I know what it is, then Jeremy will give me a lot of info about it. Like he'll try to like just give me a heads up on what their thought process was and what the release is going to be and how this, how the sale is going to go. And he'll send me shots of like the mugs and like, just kind of walk me through all of it. That way I'm a little more informed on the video, which is, it's much appreciated when he does that. So yeah, I'll do that. And then I usually spend a couple days. And that was actually when I had that couple of little gap in between where I did the Red Jet review. because those hit like same day or like the day after. And like, but I'll spend that time maybe researching a little bit, reading stuff, toying with the figures, messing around with all of it, just familiarizing. I spend more time. Like, this is such a special event that I spend a lot more time on these. I mean, I will spend a couple hours a day on these throughout that whole. Usually it's 2 weeks. You know, it's usually I have them, you know, maybe the beginning of the week, all week through the weekend, and then the following week end is the drop. This time they didn't have as much lead time, which sucked because it was 2 figures. It was like super involved. It was my longest Figura video thus far. So yeah, it was a pretty large, and there's 1,000 accessories with this. Like, there's so many accessories, but you know, so I was a little nervous that people, you know, would maybe not seem as polished or not seem as good, but the response has been great. It's now the number one of all the Figura videos are always my top videos, but this is on top of that. This is the number one Figura video in terms of like number of views and comments and all that stuff, like in the first 24 hours. So
that's awesome.
It worked out.
Yeah, man, you did a great job, and it's awesome that you get get these things so early. And there are folks who would like to know if they can be part of the inner circle to find out about them earlier. He says, "Did you tell anyone about them?"
I go into complete lockdown. It's funny because Trevor knows about them. Like, Trevor and I, it's funny. Like, we both have it. We both know that each other has it, but we don't even cross we don't even mention it ever at all to each other. Like, I never see Trevor's photos until the thing. And like, we just, even Trevor, like, so if I'm not talking to Trevor about it, like somebody who already knows about it, like, I'm not talking to anybody about it. Like, it's just one of those things where the reason why I'm the only one is because they, like, keeping it a secret is like a huge deal to them. And it's not just that like they trust me. It's that they don't want to send it to 5 people and then multiply the chances of people finding out by 5. They want to send it to as few people as possible. But yeah, so it's like, yeah, I don't talk to anyone. The only thing that happens is I have to kind of shut up about it. And it's people, you know, the date lined up with last year pretty much. So it was on people's minds over the last 2 to 3 weeks. People were like, there's a Figura coming. I bet there's a Figura coming. All the Horsemen were wearing Figura shirts for the last couple of weeks. Like, there was all of this chat, but I can't engage in that. So there's this fine line between like, oh, Bill got silent. That means, you know, that means there's one coming. Like, so it's tricky that way, but still, I mean, I'm like thrilled always to be a part of it. It's so much fun.
Yeah. And like you said in the review, it's easily one of the you were saying this is the best thing that happened in toy collecting. And it's true, because it's totally refreshing that we don't get a whole lot of like leaks or, you know, a lot of chatter about it endlessly online, you know, whether it's in the Cabal or on YouTube, like people, hey, this thing's coming. It's just out of nowhere. You get a tease the next day, boom. And, you know,
one day of speculation and then boom, it's out.
Yep. And they come relatively quickly. This one they're saying about 4 weeks, but they're in stock. So, and on top of that, these releases are definitely special. Like, you look at everything that's in here, you broke it down in terms of all the different parts, what's new, you know, what's being added to the, I guess, Legion's adjacent parts library, right? And just like, you know, people are joking around like, hey, 2 teachers, are you edutained? And that's the thing I actually love about Figura Obscura, because regardless of if it's something historical or literary, there is a bit of this sort of educational aspect of it, right? It's like, usually we'll be introducing things, whether it's like, hey, or his son Wukong, to folks who aren't familiar with it, and they do their research, they involve it in everything from the package art to all the accessories that they work in. Now, you know, with they came with a little book. I don't know if the last 2 came with a little bit of a book, right? Both the Marley and the
Red Death
Red Death
was the first. Red Death was the first one to come with the
Yes.
book, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and
Yep.
that had the full short story, and
Yep.
then Marley had the first stave 1 or whatever
Yep.
of the story, and then this, this was a different direction.
Yep.
This one is a, and by the way, if you order this, those last two were printed in New Jersey, and they were added to the overall package, the box that it was shipped in. These ones are packed in the package. These were printed in China, and they're inside the sealed figure package. So you get, when you buy the set, you get 2, and there's 1 in each box. So just be aware of that. If you don't see it in the outer box, like it's not part of the all-in, or
Right.
it's inside the box.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Don't
this
lose
one was cool because Jeremy, he ended up doing an overview of each character. So there's an overview of Anubis, and then he condensed the lore into a short narrative of Anubis.
Yep.
And then same thing, overview of Bastet and a short narrative of Bastet. Then there's a section about the archaeology and the artifacts in the museums, and like a lot of these pieces are like the altar with the Anubis, canine on top, the jackal, the little like icons, like a lot of this stuff is direct replicas. The cat statue, they're actually like pieces that you could go to a museum and see right now if you wanted to.
It's amazing. So yeah, that's the one thing with the figures. I really hope that they do have that sort of crossover appeal and are reaching maybe people who don't necessarily buy toys in general and are like interested in the subject matter. Right.
Yep. I had some comments on my video where somebody was like, this just came up. I've never heard of it. I don't collect toys, but I'm gonna get this because I love Egypt,
Perfect. I remember that seeing a lot of that with the Father Christmas and yeah. So, all right. So great stuff. I can't wait to get mine in hand. That was great. And it's still here. I'm going to reload, just curious, because someone did just drop in saying they've got 60 left. So anyways, great job on that. And here is the review. Definitely check it out. Oops. And we'll show you more about the channel at the end. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other related stuff. Jeremy posted, I love it. He says he's the chief enabling officer reporting for duty, but just sort of showing some of his quick pop and swaps using other parts. And oh God, I love it.
So good. That hair with the belt, like, oh my God, I wish I had thought of that for my video because that is so good.
Perfect, right? Match like the hair and
and like the skin, like
right here.
It's a fade, but like within that fade, there's a match that like it's there. It's that's so good.
She looks fantastic. Yeah, all sorts of great things. The heads in this are amazing. Just to see them on all sorts of different bodies.
Yeah,
it's gonna be so cool. Look at that. Oh. Yeah. So definitely check those out. In the links down, describe below.
I did this one just today, by the way.
Nice.
Last little bit of this. So some people had been saying, "Oh, I hope to see maybe the retailer variant will be like a black-bodied one."
Yep.
But yeah, this works well. And this skirt is the Kalian Shun skirt, and it is perfect for this. It's like I want to just keep it with that stuff because it just fits so well with the color palette of the gods.
Yep. Yeah, Mythic Dolphins saying, I love that the altar with the jackal has Ankh and Dejet. So Ankh being life and Dejet being strength of the pillar / human spine, reference to the ideals of Ma'at all over it. Yeah, dude, the research is there. It's amazing. And Jonathan's thinking this might be the figure / release of the year. Yep, people grabbing too. Yeah, part of me was like, oh, maybe I'll pick it up at Legion's. I was like, no, I need to have it in about 4 weeks. And so, all right.
The thing with waiting is you wait, and then when Legion's Con comes around, there's a million other things where you're like, you know what, I need all that stuff, and then it gets put on the back burner, and you just like sort of never end up getting it. Yeah. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. There have been a lot of things that I've been trying to cover in the last ones, just keep running out of time. So I'll go relatively quickly on this one. This was a figure that's based on that Romanki Cowl collab body. There was a
blank buck that came out a little bit ago that they were selling, and they're now using that buck to make figures. This is a take on Cyberpunk Edge Runners, Netflix show based on the Cyberpunk property, the game. Unlicensed, got to name it, but it's their sort of take on it's Gun Girl, Jessica Astor. I'm intrigued by the body I know is great, but also everything else that this thing comes with, including the what do you call them? The eyes, the articulated eyeballs that I believe that they've got going on here. The face plates.
Wow. Is this a 112?
This is 112. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a regular and a deluxe. You see them there with their movable eyeballs. And the deluxe. So this is the ordinary, and you can kind of see what it all comes with, including some, Iron Man Infinity Gauntlet looking things.
Pop those. I wonder how
on your arm.
You could put those on the Red Jet.
Yep.
That might look good.
And then this is the deluxe. And what's wild about the deluxe is basically getting two figures. You get a whole other body without the tattoos and the other body. Obviously, they're pricey, but not as pricey as one would have thought. And so this is over around $5,000, and that's just one of places folks can get it. But the full price for the deluxe version is actually $130, and essentially, again, you're getting two figures with that, and then $84 for the one. So, I don't know. Was this something that you had seen, or not really on the radar?
I had not seen it. I would remember it because it's. I feel like it's very rare for a head that small to have movable eyes. It's usually like a 6 scale thing. I will say that I love 5K toys. They've been very supportive of the DorkLair. They're great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have given them a lot of my money. Speaking of, this is something actually, I don't know that they've solicited this yet, but this was another one of these. This is a Sexy Ice, that's the name of the company, Mantis. And so they've been doing these sort of like bug hybrid creatures that they've been sharing. This is the first to be dropping, and it's on pre-order now over at Gundamit. And again, looks highly posable. But you probably figured out that I don't know when this started, but I've kind of into this whole anthropomorphic, like human animal hybrid thing. I think I just like weird things and creatures and aliens. And so I appreciate this kind of like weird melding. She's got her own little face there, and it's almost like she's wearing, it's almost like that as a mantis head as a helmet. Mm-hmm. So love all the details. Was this, something you saw before?
I had seen this just in passing. You know what I mean? It looks familiar. I saw it come across my Instagram feed or something. What I'm noticing is that the sickle, is an insect limb.
Yep.
Right. Like I love that. I could see like Poxus wielding that thing, or one of the members of Poxus wielding that.
Absolutely, man. I don't know. We're gonna get some bugs. In Legions someday. I guess we have them in Cosmic. Yeah. So. Yeah, that sounds they could. Yeah, she could hang out with Imbira. But yeah, I'm just also looking at the posability and the expressive kind of poses you can get with these things.
It reminds me of like the synthetic human, the 1,000 Toys stuff a little bit there. Just kind of visually, I don't know how the joints are going to be, but like it kind of just visually has that feel to it a bit.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be checking this out for science. And I'm intrigued by it. And yeah, I collect a lot of different lines, but I'm also I'm into toys. So we're in this weird period where there's just a lot of different toy makers, and they're all taking a somewhat different approach to like articulation and engineering, again, with the eyes going on here, although they don't really have eyeballs per se on this one that have like a clear pupil. But check out, there's like just those fingers there all mangled, and I don't know what's going on, but it's a thing. And it's actually the thing that I was waiting for was what the price would be. It's $75 for a single figure. And this is through Gundamit. I have some points there, so I think I'm going to be using them on this one. Anyway.
112 scale import indie figure price range right there. That's pretty standard.
Yep. And you know, we saw that it had a ton of stuff. All right, let's shift gears to packaging art. I know you've got a little bit of a Motu collection over there, but what I wanted to focus in on was they just released this packaging art by Francisco Echar, aka Fetch, art directed by Manuel Eduardo Caritas, and I love that Origins continues to push that aspect of that line. That was one of my favorite things back in the day. I still remember the Castle Grayskull art sort of like imprinting in my brain, or the Battle Ram art on that box. And so I love that they've continued that into Origins. And I look at this, man, this is like, this has got to be on somebody's van. Like, this is totally keeping that dream alive, that high fantasy art. I think it's beautiful. And all for like a character that's like, you know, a variant of a figure that, like, I don't know. I feel like under other conventional toy wisdom, a company wouldn't be like, yeah, we're going to spend on creating awesome art of this figure.
I don't collect Origins, but I feel like I've seen in the past where the box art reveals something that isn't out yet. Like, like one of those back characters in the back or something like is probably something that they haven't done yet. That's like a teaser.
Absolutely. And definitely folks should check out Toy Habits. They do that breakdown all the time. You've got characters up here. Yeah. You know, I love that about it. And in general, I just, again, that's such a cool work of art. And obviously one that, like, we know has worked its way, you know, the vibe, I guess, is also in the Four Horsemen stuff that we both love so much. And I'm a fan of this stuff. Speaking of Creative Beast Studios, do you have any Creative Beasts, Beasts of the Mesozoic?
I've resisted so far, but I'm probably going to cave for the saber-toothed tiger at some point.
Yeah. They just released a variant of that. I don't have that prepped here, but did you see that there's a all black one coming to the Beasts of the Mesozoic line?
Oh yeah. Oh cool.
Yeah. So the Cyberzoic one is more of like a brownish, and then they're doing a repaint for Beasts of the Mesozoic. That looks awesome. Yeah. This is the packaging art that's going to be for their Cyberzoic. What is it called? Lizard Dragon? Yeah, Lizard Dragon by Raul Ramos. Again, man, it's a trip to think that it's 2024 and we're getting this sort of like fantasy art, like on toys that are just equally amazing as the packaging art. So I will say that that's the trip of where we're at now, because I remember as a kid getting that awesome toy with the great art, and then noticing that there's a little bit of a disconnect with what they could pull off in plastic.
Right. Yeah.
But now, like, just those figures we were looking at, it's like, no, this is great. Like, these things are just as awesome as the artwork. So I think this stuff is gorgeous. And I love more and more that as toy collectors, we're actually learning who the artists are.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Speaking of art, the we talked about Mighty Maniacs earlier, like that Kickstarter, there's a lot of art in there too from various artists, so check that out. There's trading cards and there's art cards and stuff.
Nice.
So for people who like art, definitely check that.
Nice. I only went in for the dragon, the big dragon, this one that is there, the Arctic dragon. I didn't I don't even know, did they unlock this one? I'm forgetting now. But yeah, dragons are on everyone's brains. So here's an option. Speaking of dragons being on people's brains, this is not exactly an action figure thing, but this is Hekuto Pascal. So I noticed this thing a while back so there's an earlier version of this, but I'll start here where you can see her doing these like hand stitched scales, like literally she's going in like layer by layer by layer, and there's a whole like armature underneath that allows for the bending. But I just sort of loved the craft of this, And of course, I kept thinking about, everybody talking about Legion's Dragons, and just trying to wrap my head around what that might end up looking like. So I've had dragons on the brain, and this was kind of cool to come across.
That is pretty sweet.
And so this is an upgrade of her older work. This shows you a little bit more of that upgrade with how it's constructed and sculpted, and see more of that. But I'll show you the original was this. And so it's also amazing to see artists kind of create a thing and be dissatisfied and want to tear it apart or add to it. So this is what its earlier stages. And
Yeah,
I think it's pretty fascinating. I would love to definitely see dragons in Legions, but again, there's all sorts of other ways you could fulfill that itch in your collection. But yeah, curious, what's your take on a dragon? Do you want to see it, and would you have space for it, and all those wonderful
I'll make
questions?
space for it.
You'll
I
make
want
space
it.
for it.
I'll make space for it. Even if I have to get rid of the Razor Crest, I would. I don't think it'll come to that, but if I had to, I would put it there. So
would you have
I'll
a preferred size? Like, are you thinking your preferred size would be about the size of a Razor Crest?
Probably bigger.
You want okay?
I'm just thinking about like what I would expect. I mean, the volume of it might not be bigger, but like the length of it, I feel like would be bigger. I don't know. I think if they do one, they're gonna go big. They're gonna go pretty big with it.
Okay. We shall see if they do it. Okay. That's bad. Well, not bad, but like I try to be pro. Let's move into story time. All right, story time. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. Real quick. I don't know. Were you a Planet of the Apes fan at all? Old, new?
I'm a huge fan of the original first movie. I've seen, but I'm not super into the original sequels. I love the trilogy, the most recent trilogy, the Caesar trilogy. I don't know what you'd call it, the Caesar trilogy, I guess.
Sure.
I love that. So I'm looking forward to this. But yeah, my main love goes back to the original Charlton Heston movie. I used to show it twice a year in my classroom because we had semesters and I had a sci-fi class. And it's one of those like thinker movies that just holds up so well, and it's just a really good conversation movie. But they did an amazing job of creating this new prequel of it, right? Like with the Caesar trilogy. That I'm totally down with this. I can't wait.
I had a chance to see it last week, and I mean it came out, so but it's out.
But I can't. I got to see one movie so far this year.
Okay. This is one that I took the kids to because they're getting a little older and they're into sci-fi and but yeah, they had a good time as well, if that's any indication of what's possible with this film. Nice. I haven't looked to see how it's done. Did your kids
like the Caesar trilogy too? Did they watch those or?
They actually have not. They've seen me watch it and they've kind of peeked in and wondered about it. I want them to see the first one. But no, they haven't. My oldest saw the second half of the, what was it, War for Planet of the Apes, the one prior to this with Woody Harrelson. But no. And so they're also big animal kids, so they're really intrigued. As you'll see here, there's a lot of nods to some familiar scenes from the original. So you see them like sort of hunting down humans and stuff, and I'll just leave it there. But I think it's pretty cool. And the other cool thing about this is that it's directed by Wes Ball, who is also working on a Zelda movie.
Oh, interesting.
And when I watched this, which was also a selling point for my youngest, who's a big Zelda head, both of us after watching this, like, yeah, and I could totally see what this person could do with Zelda, because you can imagine forests and things on horses and creatures and I will just say effects, this is easily like the best looking of the newer ones in terms of the CG. It's mind-blowing, kind of like like watching that Lion King movie recently, regardless of how folks feel about it, because I've heard people like have these weird violent reactions to the quote unquote live action Lion King. But you watch that film and then you realize there's literally 2 shots in that entire thing that are real and the rest of it's all computer. Trips me out watching this movie. I was like, I have to stop myself and realize, well, oh wait, a lot of this is not what I'm seeing is not what they were shooting. So highly recommended. I was a big fan of the original. I love the sequels as well. Like talk about there's a lot in there for people to think about. And then there's movies that like don't necessarily require you to think so much. Were you familiar with the 1983 Deathstalker? And there were like a couple of sequels. It's a barbarian film. Here, maybe this will
I'd have to be reminded.
And these are not like, these are the kinds of things that I would go on a weekend and like, okay, walk down to the corner, video rental store.
Right.
And I'd always circle back to something barbarian. Like if there was a person who was like, wearing a fur loincloth and had a sword, I was like, okay, cool, I'm renting this. This is one of those. And
that right there is like that last guy. That is like Beastmaster wannabe guy. That Beastmaster wannabe guy. That's him right there.
It's got some camp for sure. It's a Roger Corman film, but I was intrigued to see yesterday that in Variety, they announced that it's going to be rebooted.
All right.
And so executive produced by Guns N' Roses Slash.
This is one, it's like Slash's favorite movie or something. This is one that like, sometimes you're like, you know what? We don't really need a remake. That first one was good enough. Like this might be one where it's like, this one probably could use a remake.
Yeah.
Although I've never seen it, so I can't really talk about it because I don't really recognize it. But yeah.
That's the funny thing with a lot of these is that, it's somewhere somebody's going to be upset that like, oh, you're doing this thing. The first one was fine. And I understand that. But at the same time, it's 2024. It'd be nice to kind of see more of these kinds of films, and they're supposedly making another Masters of the Universe, which is working in those sci-fi elements. So maybe we're getting a little bit more of these kinds of films back. Anyways, that was fun and dorky, but check it out. Look for it. I don't know if Slash is going to come out like with a maybe a lute and a hat.
Like that time Bon Jovi was in Young Guns 2 and he was like killed. It was just like one random guy who got killed.
Yep. All right. Let's go ahead and move to some customs real quick. And this is something that I saw. And, in the sort of battle of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles vans, I saw this one. I was like, okay, that one's pretty damn cool. This is a custom that, oh my gosh, so bad. My bad. Who is this? This is Dues Machines 84 posted a little bit ago. I've been trying to get it to the stream, but it's kind of never working. Cool looking custom, beautiful paint job. And you kind of see it here with these awesome Mezco TMNTs. There's a couple of one more shot. Do you have any of the 112 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle vans?
No, I don't have room. That's one that I won't make room for.
Yeah. But look at the art, man.
But that is amazing. That is, the weathering on that thing is impressive. Mm-hmm.
And a crap ton of like little custom parts and armor and stuff. Look at that. Look at that tank.
Propane tank.
Yeah. Yes. That's legit. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Anyway, I love to signal boost cool stuff and let people take a look at something, maybe get inspired to do more. But let's bring it back to
seats. Even the seats are like,
yes.
Yeah, no, it's fine. The seats look crazy.
Yep. I actually didn't pay attention. Was their van carpeted? Here is Emil's freaking X-Men, man. X-Men everywhere, as we're going to get to in a little bit after this. There's a couple of X-Men pieces, but this is Emil adding to his Legion's built X-Men team. Man, this thing looks great. I don't remember. Does he still have his others, or did he end up actually selling some of those off at Legion's Con?
That I don't know.
Okay.
That I don't know. So,
Okay,
so
no
this
problem.
is this brute scale? Hold on, what did he say? As soon as I started making tribute customs, I knew that Colossus
It
would be
is.
made one day when the brute scale figures came into the
Yep.
scene.
Yeah, it's you'll see. I'll show the process shot. There's some Calazier parts in there. But
Looks like he carved the arms. He does a lot of
yep.
carving and then also sculpting himself.
Mhm.
It's really cool stuff.
It really is, man. They're like really solid customs and really, he's incredibly familiar with the parts, right? So he really does his
Yep.
research and really thinks about what's the best way to kind of pull off this character. Yeah, there's Piotr. That's horrible. But
Did he say where the head is from?
here, I'll show the process shot. And I believe it's completely
Oh,
it's a
3D
custom.
printed sculpt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. It's a Wolf King Customs. Yeah. And it's a 1.0 head on a brute scale body. And it's looking pretty good. So you can kind of see some Calazier upper body, and that's what's the purple dude? Bounty hunter from Cosmic. I'm assuming that's his leg.
Yeah. Canox Vol.
I don't know how you do that, man, but yes, you got all the names in there. But yeah, it's great. Start with figuring out the parts. You can see all the different parts that he's working in there. These are the lizard
Those
guys?
are Novian.
Yeah.
Lean's shoulders.
So cool and brilliant, right? And then you've got the Photoshop kind of quick paint test, and then the final. But
he just has that ability to see.
Yep.
Things, like he was.
Yep.
I rewatched it today, but yesterday, the Legion's cast crew, him and Steve and Len, they did a lot. They recorded themselves while they were like ordering the new Figura, and so like after they ordered it, they were just really digging in and looking at it all, and you could just see Emil like
his brain.
Yeah, he would just be like,
studying.
"Oh my!" Like there was like at one point where he was like, "Oh my god, that's the part I needed for this." He held back because he didn't want to reveal what it is, but like he had this idea that you could just see it working through his head.
Oh, it's fantastic! I love it, and we'll get to see them soon enough. I love that. Oops, actually, that's not right. What do we got? We've got. Hold on, there's one more. Emil, where's Emil? We've got a Storm. Unfortunately, no process shot for Storm, but a little bit older. This has been out for a little bit, but I haven't been able to showcase it here. I love that X-Men are getting the attention right now, even though I'm not necessarily huge into X-Men 97, but it's fun. But I just love that they're coming back. I think that's what needs to happen right before they finally make their debut proper in the MCU.
This is like just customizer's nightmare. Yellow and white figure. Yeah. Like those are like the hardest colors to do.
That's a lot of paint and repaint to get it to show up
nice and crisp and solid.
Great stuff. And then you already kind of saw this is by Aero Custom Figures. They're Beast. I don't know. I was trying to remember. I don't know if this was what is it? Cassandra Nova, not Jonathan Hickman. Jeff something. Anyway, I kind of forget if folks in the chat know. Sorry, and I've been kind of losing the chat. Or do you know what era Beast this is? You big X-Men guy?
No, I'm not a huge X-Men guy. No.
Gotcha. I am, but this is definitely after my my time. It looks like it might be the. Anyway, I think it's a really cool looking Beast. I love when customizers can just sort of kind of like what you're saying with Emil, look at different parts, figure out what they're going to do, and then transform these figures. I don't even know what this is based on.
According to
Astonishing. And was that Adam? Do you know who was writing on that? If you do, anyway, I think it's great. That's all. customs, man. I love customs, and I love the art of it. And here's some of the other ones that I have shown previous. So he's building a bunch of stuff on his shelf. A lot of them are McFarlane based, actually, but I don't know what he actually used for this. So amazing times. Let's see what else we got here.
Those are McFarlane figures. That's a pretty big figure too. The Beast.
Yep.
Right, because those are usually pretty tall.
Yep, like 7 inches ish. This is a custom head and claw set or hand set intended for either real metal, intended for the Mafex body. But yeah, it's kind of what I do here. It's just like, hey, look at this cool stuff. I can't believe this stuff exists. But keep it away from your kids because you probably poke an eye out. But that is really cool. A little bit on the gnarly side, but X-Men comic books never really your thing, or just not the X-Men in particular?
He's saying,
"Oh,
Joss. Oh, are you talking to me? I thought you were.
That's right. No, I was asking you, but no, that's right. It was the Joss Whedon run, but I feel like the Joss Whedon run didn't he have a different looking face, a more of the cat looking face, but definitely that Joss Whedon
don't step on that
costume. Toy. Yeah, don't step on this toy. You'll
metal.
It'll go through your foot, and if you don't have a healing factor, no.
As far as my X-Men, yeah, I didn't grow up reading the comics. I really didn't in the 80s really read much comics at all.
Okay.
So, I've read some X-Men here and there and watched the cartoon back in the day, but I just was never like, I love X-Men, and I actually really loved all the movies, when those were coming out. But I just never deep dove and really went hard on X-Men comics ever. So something I'll probably do someday.
It's fun stuff, man. That was my childhood for sure. All right. We should probably start winding down. This takes us to the I'm so off my game, but this is the That's What's Up section where no, this is not. This is actually eye candy. So let's take a look at some art. Now here, I'll preface this, and this is perfect because Trevor's in the audience. The AI thing, man, it requires a huge conversation. And I believe Trevor is looking to gather people to have a thoughtful conversation about AI in the arts. So this is definitely one person put together a prompt and asked, hey, what do we do with what if Studio Ghibli made a Spider-Man anime? Are you familiar with Ghibli stuff at all? Mononoke,
yeah.
Totoro?
Not all of it, but yeah,
but aesthetically,
Princess
you
Mononoke, Spirited Away, Ponyo, those are movies that I've all seen.
So this is generated by AI. So admittedly, it falls into the pitfalls of it, right? We don't know where they're sourcing the info that sort of seeded the AI. We don't know, highly likely that they're taking, other artists' work and feeding it into this thing, and it's generating work based on that. So acknowledged. And I believe it or not, I truly am not trying to skirt it, but yes, I just want to name it. However, I look at these kinds of things and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And conceptually, right? And if it can be, it's inspiring, and sure, it's troubling. Ultimately, it's troubling because of the way, that art and commerce exist in our society, right? That's ultimately where that battle is, I suppose. But this stuff's
art
really cool.
Commerce is one thing, but corporate interest is the big thing for me.
But yeah, but I also mean just sort of the fact that artists need to make money. We live in a society where we're not in Star Trek, right? We're not in Star Trek yet. Where and I say yet, but where people need to survive, and people put in labor and use their skills and create these things. So the fact that an artificial intelligence is sort of taking that is really problematic. And then what corporations and other employers can do with that. Okay, so again, that's a preface. That's a tease for whenever we do that thing, Trevor. But I think it's inspiring, really for an artist maybe to do this and say, hey, what if Studio Ghibli, they could, it would take a long time and a lot of great art, and that's great. But what would they, it's technically not their IP either. So I just wonder if like there are spaces where, yeah, where this might not otherwise happen because an artist would not necessarily be doing this for anyway, whatever. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Right.
I feel like it's a complicated thing, but all that to say, look, Needless Ephemera. Anyway, I think it's cool. And I'm a big dork. On that note, let's cleanse the palate with an actual human artist.
Can I just mention
Oh, yeah,
one
what's
thought
up?
I have on AI art?
Oh, yeah, please.
Or AI art is that I think those types of fun things and memes and I was talking to Chris from Collector 77
Mhm.
and he'll do prompts where it's like make an action figure that's a Karen or something, like something goofy like that,
Yeah.
and or it's like make an action figure that's like the collector's wife getting upset with him for collecting action figures or whatever. So like those things, like it on a individual level in any one of those things, I don't think is necessarily problematic. But the problem for me is that we are just constantly using, like we're seeing people use those and lots of people are using them and it's just becoming highly normalized and it's like this slow eroding of like questioning it, and it's becoming this thing where people are sort of like like someone's like yeah AI did a great AI kind of sucks but look they did a great job on it, and it's like
Right.
but like let's back up a second and like question it and make sure that we're not just like slowly just starting to accept it as this thing, because there are artists out there who
You're
are
right.
whose work is being used here. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean that's just my take is like I kind of my goal is to resist the highly normalization of it.
And I straight up normalize it. But no, I had that exact thought, Bill, when I was like, oh man, do I show this? And so it's like, am I normalizing it? Which is why I felt the
But
need to
you
have the
questioned it,
preface.
you
Yeah,
acknowledged
to
it,
have
and
the
you
preface.
questioned
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
you're not. I think it's like, you're not
Not just accepting
being
it.
like, yep, oh cool, there it is. It's
Yep.
fun. Like
Yep.
stop like telling people to like, hey, stop questioning it. It's just fun. Like that's what I'm
Yeah.
seeing a lot of people in the comment sections
No.
of things like that. They're like, stop questioning it. It's just fun. Like
Right.
you use like you use AI for like other things, so this is okay too. And it's like people are just trying to like rationalize it and accept it, and it's like just take a step back and think about it for a little while.
Yeah.
Like, don't just accept it.
100%. And that kind of pause and let's have a thoughtful conversation about it just is not something that happens a whole lot right
No.
now. And so, yep. Good job, Teach. So real quick, this will be the last thing, and then let's sort of start to wrap up. I just love this. Let's again, palette cleanse, a real actual artist. This is Tony Helms over at IG as Tony Cartoonish. And of course, I appreciated him taking some Animal Warriors of the Kingdom characters and doing it in his style. It was very sort of animated, TV animation style is sort of what he's referring to. This is, of course, Kanji. Here is Boone. I love it. It's like this. I see the evolution of animation too, and this sort of being almost like a post 90s into the. I think people were calling it the Cal art style, which is not a thing, but that sort
What
of
I
like
think of when I
simplified
see
forms.
this is kind of like, and I've never seen an episode of this show, but the like Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like that kind of era of cartoons, this kind of has that vibe to me a little bit.
Yeah, I see that, and then I see sort of then moving into a little after that would be like the oh gosh, a little bit Adventure Time, a little bit what was that, the kid with the Gravity Falls, where things get very like abstract, or even the Thundercats Roar, right? Like that level of abstraction. So here you really see it in Corvius, real simplified forms, but I think it's cool. And again, like dope real life human artists, and we will have that conversation because it's an important one to have. But check out Tony's work. Just a couple of other non-AWOC things. It is May, so I'm still celebrating Star Wars because we need to do more celebrating of Star Wars rather than amplifying the sometimes weird negative stuff. But this is cool. His original take on a Gonk droid and a Jawa. And another Star Wars one, but maybe crossing over with some Star Trek.
Nice Klingon there.
Yeah, I think I titled this on the news links. A Klingon on a Twi'lek walk into Middle Earth. But yeah, I think God, I would just love to see this. There's definitely a part of me that's deeply nostalgic and hungry for some good Saturday morning cartoons. And then some of Tony's original stuff. And this is, to be clear, this is all ink. The other stuff was digital, but he works in traditional media as well. Check out Tony's work. Some really great stuff. And let's start to actually close out. And let's do the That's What's Up section, where I want to focus usually on a creator, but a creator, and then of course my co-host. So you've got things going on, and I want to make sure that folks know about it and spend a little time. We talked about it in the beginning, but that's not you. Here, let's do it the old school way.
I wish I could draw like that.
Look, stuff exploding got hacked. Sorry about that, folks. That was unintentional. Let's see. Oh, wait, you don't see what I see. Why do you not see what I see?
I still see the Tony cartoonish thing.
Oh, that's why your thing didn't come up. It's in the wrong window. Okay, here you go. Sorry. Professional. All right, DorkLair. Let's start with Instagram. So talk to us about like what ends up on your Instagram versus what you got going on YouTube.
Instagram is, I sometimes I dabble in videos and reels and stuff, but it's like I'll go on little streaks. So mostly it's photos. Oftentimes I'll share some of the kit bashes I do in my videos. I'll share some stuff that I just won't do a video on, like the like that Dan Larson figure there. Like this was one of the kit bashes I did in the Gods of Egypt video there.
And you're about to say that the Larson figure?
I was just saying, like, that's something I won't do a video on. So, take a nice photo, share it on here. One of the things I'm trying to do is like take good photos of Glyos figures. Like I love them. But they're fairly limited articulation. And so it's like, and you don't see a lot of people taking shots like, like, I don't know, fancier shots. Like this is a little fancier than say the Alf's in my hand.
Right.
People will do more of that kind of stuff with their Glyos than the like, kind of well lit shots. So I want to do more of that with Glyos. Because they're worthy of it. They have an amazing place in collecting, and they just have this little corner of the collecting world that just is awesome. A couple con things like that. Yep. That's my like feeble attempt at covering the con. I was so busy that I had 3 random things from the con.
Sometimes you got to just enjoy yourself too, and not worry about content.
Just like hang out and talk to people.
Yeah.
So Chris Biblical Adventures had his table there. He was bummed out because he was supposed to he had air freighted paint samples for his most recent paint samples, and he wanted to have them on the table. And his next con isn't until August. So he's got these things coming in, and he didn't have an event, they came too late. So that was a bummer for him. But, he had his table out. There was a lot of people checking it out and interested in the line and stuff. So there was that. And then...
were these there?
Yeah. So...
oh, God.
Borderland and War Weasel were there, and they had some stuff. And this particular one is War Weasel.
Oops. Yep. I've been showing off his battle beasts.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep. So check out War Weasel. Check out Borderland. They were there. repping, you know, obviously the Horsemen were there,
Right.
and then other people had random Horseman figures for sale, but these guys were repping Legions, you know, like this is bringing the customs, bringing the head sculpts, this is like this is totally like, you know, Legions con type stuff. That this was the one table that was really repping Legions like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the customizer community, like everything else that's sort of around the studios, are just as important as the toy line themselves.
Yeah.
And then shots of your figs and
Yeah, some
basically
toy news, like those hot toys, like that was kind of a big thing when they're like, yeah, we're gonna do Legends, EU all of a sudden. It's like, holy crap, I don't even know if I posted it, but they're doing a dark, what is it, Dark Empire, Luke Skywalker. Like, this is like, where'd that come from? Like, I'll post stuff if it's the timing's right and I have a couple minutes to share, stuff like that. And yeah,
that's awesome. Here, this is perfect. We'll bounce back to your channel, but since this is here, let's talk about Legion's Lounge. That's another thing that you do over on the 1/6 Shooter channel, and this is every other Thursday. Is that right?
Yeah, and when you say something I do, it's all
our
Trevor.
part of.
Like Trevor,
Yeah.
Trevor like deserves all, like he really just does so much work for that show. It's just he's so good at this stuff, and like he just does such an amazing job, from the planning, the guests, the promotion, the thumbnails, like all that stuff is like, I mean, he's an artist, like it's all just top-notch stuff. So
and he's saying Monday. My bad. What am I missing?
Yeah, what did you say? I didn't even hear what you said.
Oh, no, sorry. It's your show on Thursdays. Sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
Mondays. My bad, Trevor. Well, not only did I give Bill all the credit, and now I'm not even telling people when the show. I'm just kidding. Mondays, every how often is it? 2 weeks?
Every other week.
Yeah. So we've got one this Monday. Yeah, that's
Good
right.
question.
We didn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't. That was 2 Mondays ago that you all did the.
But we
draft.
had one last week too, because we did the awards last week.
Oh, so. For the pop and swap. Oh.
Yeah. So I'm losing track here. If it's tomorrow or next week, I'm all jumbled up. Trevor,
it's all right. Perfect timing for this comment then. Bill brings the knowledge. Yeah, and you are on tomorrow.
The Dork Lounge.
You are on tomorrow. But yeah, no, it's great. And I was telling Trevor when he was on, the very first time I ever figured out what a super chat was and actually did it was on the lounge. Because you guys were saying like, this is, we're going to take that money and put it into giveaways. I was like, that's dope. That's like a good concrete reason. So that was great. And then let's talk about your channel. Follow me into the dork. Let's talk about the DorkLair. How long have you been doing it? Actually, I haven't looked at that.
Well, the podcast started in 2017. Like the first half of 2017, and then I started doing videos on YouTube, and like, I mean, I think we had been posting the audio to YouTube, but that doesn't really count. And then I started doing videos to YouTube in late 2018. So about a year and a half later, I started putting videos on YouTube. So yeah, I mean, 2018. So we're approaching 6 years now.
Yeah. Nice.
It's a slow burn. I feel like my channel doesn't grow as fast as other channels, but I have a high density of like I feel like my audience is like this really high density of like awesome people, whereas I think a lot of other channels, they grow fast and it just becomes like a lot of casuals, and so yeah, I feel like
you've got diehards for
I have
sure.
a great audience.
Yeah, it's great. You go into the lives on the Thursdays, on the every other Thursday. It's like the same group of people. And actually it's not the same, because it does get bigger, and you're up in like 3 digits every time live, 150 or so, or even more.
It's usually about 100 in there. Yep, sometimes more, sometimes less. But I just realized my Figura Obscura. I gotta put the new one in there. What I did this time was I It's really weird looking at
I
my
know,
face
seeing
talking.
as yourself. Sorry.
But, yeah, so I shared it with Jeremy early because he was going to be. Usually he waits till it drops, but he was going to be at the show, so he wouldn't be able to watch it. So I shared it with him early. I did my research because I didn't really know how possible it is for people to find something if it's unlisted versus private.
Right.
Usually everything's private till I publish, but I wanted to set it to unlisted so that Jeremy could see it. And so I unchecked the box because I didn't want it to be. I think if you have a video that's unlisted, but it's in a playlist, I think people could still see it, is what my research suggested.
Yes,
so that's why it's not in that yet. I got to put it back in there.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And good question. I don't know how easy it is for people who are savvy to try and actually find unlisted videos like on the random. But
yeah, I think that would be one of the few things that would be able to enable them to find it would be that it's in a playlist.
Yeah. But yeah, you've got a bunch of different things, and I know you've been toying around with things like you've done the Toy Tubers podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the reviews, and that's, as I was saying earlier, that they're super thorough, and I appreciate that they're fairly consistent. So it's like, okay, I know how he's going to run through it, and you really, because you seem to study figures for science like me sometimes, you have a lot of experience with other toy lines, and I just love the way you talk about figures. And then you've got the DorkLair Collecting podcast, and that's the one that's
which
every
is
other Thursday.
That used to be the podcast. It's kind of not really a podcast anymore. It's been a while since I've even published it to the audio. But yeah, the live stream is kind of our every other week toy news, toy topics show with me and Larry. Chris left the show. He's just a little too busy with other things for now.
Yeah.
We'll
he's popped up
at some point. Yeah, he's popped back in, and he'll come back someday. So I think we got this week we're off, and I'm going to be on the Legion's Ladies podcast this Thursday night, and then the week after that we'll be back.
Perfect. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me over on this little channel. But just, I love what you do. I love your take on toys, and just wanted to geek out a little bit. And I appreciate you. As people always say, thank you for being a teacher, but not truly. Thank you.
Likewise.
Yeah. We need good folks in the profession. But someone else brought up earlier, like I didn't have teachers that were like this cool. And it's funny that people say that because that's not what my kids are thinking.
Right. So. Because here's the thing with that. To us, back then, a teacher who was cool would be somebody like us. Yeah, it's like now a kid now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, if you're my age, will look back and they'll be like, oh, a teacher today that's my age looks cool, and they seem cool because they're interested in the things that I'm interested in. Why didn't I have teachers like that when I was a kid? It's like, that's you now. That's why.
Yep. Yeah, well, it is what it is. And I think I'll end it with Rick Jones, because he's right on. Yeah, if you are not subscribed to DorkLair, what are you doing with your life? For sure, if you're at all a fan of toys, you need to be over there and checking out what Bill's doing. So
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's go ahead and get out of here. Thank you so much again for hanging out. I hope you and everybody I hope you enjoy the end of the school year, man. I hope you get to do some relaxing, at least take a breath.
I will. Thank you.
Cool.
You too.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Again, we'll see you next week here, 3:45. And that's it. Everybody have a great week. Peace, power. Go check out DorkLair. I wish I had cooler music, man. Follow me. Yeah. All right, folks. Ending the stream now. And